Hello and good evening, students. Welcome in our history class. Today I will continue class 9 history chapter 1, the French Revolution. In our previous class I have discussed about the outbreak of French Revolution, where we have studied about King Louis XVI, how he planned to impose taxes, right? So he called a meeting of States General and on 5th May 1789 on that day, but the members of third state boycotted the meeting and they walked out of the meeting in protest, and they demanded equal voting rights and formed a national assembly, and they took the oath to draft a new constitution for France and to limit the powers of the king. And finally, Louis XVI had to recognize National Assembly and he accepted the new constitution. Now, as National Assembly came to power on 4th August 1789, powers were taken from clergy and tithes were abolished and lands of the church were seized and taken away. So up till here we have already discussed. Today I am going to discuss about what happened after the National Assembly came to power. How France becomes a constitutional monarchy. Now, what is meant by constitutional monarchy? It was a system where king will rule, but he will be under the control of constitution. His powers will be limited by constitution, so it is called a constitutional monarchy. Clear? Now the powers. Now the powers will be divided and shared among different institutions like legislature, executive and judiciary. Now this made France a constitutional monarchy. In this way, children, powers instead of being concentrated in the hands of one person, it was now separated and shared among different institutions. And a new political system worked where the king will be there, okay, but his powers will be limited by the constitution, okay. So this was already discussed. Now National Assembly completed the draft of constitution in 1791, okay. In this year the National Assembly completed the draft of constitution. Why? To limit the powers of monarch or the king. So in this new constitution, a basic structure was there, that is separation of powers, okay, separation of powers. Now the powers were being divided or shared among the legislature, executive and judiciary. Now before this new constitution, what type of system prevails here? Means before the system is before this new constitution emerged, what type of system prevails in this society? That is the king. He holds all the powers, isn't it? He acts as a legislature, executive and even judiciary. But now powers were divided, and legislature means, you know children, it means the lawmaking body, and it has the power to make the law where law has been made or framed, whereas executive means those who execute it or implement the law, whether law is being followed or not, okay, it has the duty to check. Whereas judiciary means the court system where judgment was given by a judge. Next, coming to voting powers or the voting process, okay, who could vote and who could not, okay. So here we are coming for active and passive citizens, okay. Here you'll see active and passive citizens. Active and passive citizen, okay. Here you'll see Okay, so here you'll see, children, what is meant by active citizen and passive citizen. Active citizens were those men above, only the men, okay, only men above 25 years of age. Here you'll see, only men above 25 years of age, okay, those who paid the taxes equal to at least 3 days of a laborer's wage, okay, and they were entitled to vote and they were able to give the votes, okay. So this was the condition, and they were known as active citizens, okay, they were known as active citizens. Whereas this was the condition, okay, two conditions for men. Only men above 25 years of age, they are able to give the votes, and they should be able to pay the taxes which was equal to at least 3 days of a labor's wage, okay. So these were the two conditions for men. So in this way, citizens voted for a group of electors who in turn choose the assembly, okay. So in this way, the citizens, they voted for a group of electors who in turn choose the assembly, that is the members of National Assembly, okay. Next, now who were the passive citizens? Let's see. Passive citizens, here you can see, remaining men and all women and children, okay. As you know, all the men means the men above 25 years of age, those who can pay the tax at least 3 days of a labor's wage, they are able to give the votes. Now the remaining men, okay, and all the women and the children, they were actually known as passive citizens, okay, passive citizens. Now remaining men, who were the remaining men? Those who were below 25 years of age and those who could not pay taxes, and those who could not pay taxes equal to 3 days of a labor's wage, they were regarded as passive citizens, okay. So these were the two categories, that is, first is active citizen and the second one is passive citizen, okay. Active citizens, they are able to or they are entitled to vote, whereas passive citizens, they were not able to give the votes, okay. So this is clear. Now and also you'll see the question will come like this, that who were regarded as passive citizens and active citizens, okay. So here you can see the figure, that is the children, about the separation of powers, okay. You can see the children about the separation of powers, where two types of citizens are there, okay. Two types of citizens are there in this figure, you can see, yes, active citizen and passive citizens, okay. So active citizens, they have the voting powers, whereas passive citizens did not have the voting powers. So clear? Now, active citizens were about 4 million out of 28 million, okay. Out of 28 million, they were about 4 million. And those who paid the taxes equal to 3 days of a labor's wage were able to give the vote, and they have the voting powers. Now, among these active citizens, those who were the highest taxpayer, means those who were more wealthy and rich, okay, in that category, they become the electors, okay, they will become the electors. here. That is top 50,000 men become the electors. Okay. And these electors, they give vote to those, means to whom? To choose the assembly. Okay. These electors, they give vote to choose the assembly. Okay, that means among electors, those who were more wealthy and comes under highest taxpayer category, okay, they become the members of National Assembly. And how many are there? 745 members were required here. Okay, 745 members were required here. Here. 745 members. Okay. Now, what is the work and role of National Assembly? It makes the law. Okay. It will make the law. That is, it is a legislature. Okay, just like a legal body, means it will make law making body. Now the power is being concentrated by National Assembly, and it controls the king as well as it also controls the ministers. Just like our Indian Parliament, as we have there was a National Assembly. Just like that, there was a National Assembly which will make the law. From among National Assembly, some ministers were made or appointed so that the system will work properly. And National Assembly, it controls both the king and the ministers. Okay, so here you will see both the king and ministers were there here. Okay, so National Assembly is going to control both the king and the ministers. King Louis XVI had the veto powers, so he has the power to cancel or postpone the decision. Okay, so in this way we can see that the planning was done by legislature or National Assembly, but the king or executive will only give his consent that the laws were approved by the king. That means the king had to give his consent and he must agree to the decisions of the National Assembly because his powers were now limited. Clear? Next you'll see here, it's judiciary. Okay, this one. Okay, so which is another branch. So here the active citizens choose the members of judiciary. Okay, the active citizens, they are going to choose the members of judiciary. So here we can see, children, that powers were separated or divided among the three branch: legislature, executive and judiciary. Now it brings why these powers were divided, so that it will bring uniformity. Okay, that is equality, and king becomes a constitutional monarch and his powers will be limited as he had to rule under the constitution. And next, up till here this is clear to all of you. Next we are coming to another topic, that is the Declaration of Rights of Man and Citizen. Okay, this one. This is the Charter of Declaration of Rights of Men and Citizens. Here you can see the picture, children. Okay, now the new constitution, it starts with the Declaration of Rights of Men and Citizens. It means that rights were given to men and citizens in France. It mainly focused on men, okay, not on women. And rights like freedom of liberty, equality, speech and expression, etc. were included in the Declaration of Rights of Men and Citizens. So these rights were known as natural and inalienable. Okay, now why? What is the reason behind? Why these rights were known as natural and inalienable rights? Because here natural rights, it means those rights which we get by birth, like right to life, and we have the right or freedom to live. Whereas inalienable, it means those rights which could not be taken away by anyone, means nobody could snatch. Okay, nobody could snatch away those rights. Okay, nobody could take away those rights. That is known as inalienable rights. Okay, that means nobody has the power to take away our rights. So these rights were known as inalienable rights, and they belong to each human being by birth. So therefore, right to life, freedom of speech, opinion, equality before law were established, and it was declared as natural and inalienable rights, and it was the duty of the state or the government to protect each citizen's natural rights. Okay, so all these things, the rights were expressed and described in the new constitution of France. Okay, this is also very important, that why this declaration of rights of men and citizens, that is the right to life, freedom of speech, okay, equality before law, why this were known as natural and inalienable right? Or might be the question like this, write a short note on natural and inalienable rights. Okay, so you have to write natural rights means the rights which we get by birth, and like right to life means we have the right or freedom to live. So natural rights by birth we are getting. Okay, and inalienable means those rights which could not be taken away by anyone. Nobody has the right to take away those rights. Okay, so it is known as inalienable rights. Now it is clear, children. I hope this whole concept is clear to you, that how France becomes a constitutional monarchy, and what is meant by a constitutional monarchy, and also the separation of powers which we have discussed here. Through the chart also it's given. Okay, and active citizens and passive citizens, what is meant by it, and the declaration of rights of men and citizens, the charter which we have seen here. So this is clear to all of you, children. So this is all about here. Now the topic France becomes a constitutional monarchy. Today we have discussed, and where we have gone through this active citizen, passive citizens, and how Louis XVI or the king, it becomes a constitutional monarchy, and we have gone through the separation of powers. I hope this is clear to all of you. So in the next video we'll discuss that what Louis XVI planned, okay, a type of conspiracy against the country. And so today that's all for this video. Thank you, children, and thank you all.